right. Thank you for coming back to Psych Your Way to Success. I am Claire with,
Heather?
and Heather and I today will be talking about leadership development. Are we getting what we need when it comes to training? Just not training. I think we'll probably touch on a couple other things, but how do we get to where we want to go, more or less? Again, Psych Your Way to Success is a fun podcast where Heather and I have the opportunity to talk about different topics, typically provided by our audiences and through the lens of industrial organizational psychology. So, corporate psychology. Yeah. All right. So, just to get us started a little bit, I would definitely say this is a big problem that I see out there in organizations, that clients that I've worked with as well, companies I've worked for. And man, have we ever seen a large number of leadership that have gotten there because they're either A, really good workers, B, they knew somebody, they got promoted because they're friends, something, either way, or they were just, like I said, really good at what they did, but they weren't given those leadership skills to be a really good leader. Sometimes it's not a natural thing. Most of the time, to be a good, great leader, that's not natural either. So we got to get some training out there. Heather, what does that look like? Just real quick before we dive into answers, what does that look like for you in your side of the world, for seeing the type of leaders that are out there right now?
Well, I think there's like a few things here. I think there's definitely certain traits and qualities that can help a leader be fantastic, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And then I also think that there's a benefit for the education of leaders, not just
Sure.
educating them on the company, but also educating them on, I would say my top four skills
Oh,
would
we're
be.
diving into skills. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
are
let's
we?
do this. No, I was just asking what it looks like to you before we got into skills. What does that look like for you? What have you seen? Like, are there certain challenges that you've seen more of in the environment of leadership in the industries that you've been in, and the world that you see right now?
I mean, I definitely like the healthcare industry is really fascinating because you're not necessarily building a lot of leaders, like you're either a doctor or you're staff. So it's only in the bigger corporate or medical practices that you actually are building leaders and teaching leaders how to lead, right? And
Right.
so it's very different to go from like a solo practitioner to like multiple practitioners. And I think one of the things that I have seen is exposure and experience. Those two things kind of lack in the medical field. When I was in the investment field, those things were definitely there, but there was sometimes a lack of education and like looking at what they were doing,
Okay.
like evaluating it.
Yeah. I think I'm coming from a like construction and manufacturing mindset quite often, along with computer technology. And man, we have a lot of people that have been promoted for doing really great work as, whatever their role was. And then they get promoted to leadership, and we see them all of a sudden fail. And it's not their own fault most of the time, right? Like, they're failing because they were great workers, but nobody has shown them how to be like a really great leader. They don't have those empathy skills. They don't have those motivation skills. They don't know what it looks like when they're trying to positively motivate people or garner or, grow some sense of team in each other. And I think that's one of the things that, if some of us can resonate with any one of our situations, for sure, I think hopefully we'll have some maybe some hints on how to be able to get what we need for training. If you're in that position where you feel like you're not being as successful as you want in leadership, I think that hopefully by the end of today's session, Heather and I will have been able to share our top three best ways to get what we need out of our companies or organizations, maybe a little out of life. So, do you want to all of these leadership skills apply to being a parent, to being a good partner, to being a good friend. Oh man, so many words. But yes, let's have you get us started. You're gonna talk about some of the skills. Do you want to continue down that path?
Sure. I would say my number one skill that I think is imperative for a good leader is determination.
Mm,
And I don't know if you agree with this one or not, but I think determination definitely sets people apart, because if you're not determined, you're not consistent, and you're not willing to like figure out what the problem is and how to like make it happen. So I would say determination outweighs like smartness or ideas or anything, because a lot of times when you have maybe a brilliant idea, it doesn't always go as planned. I don't know if all your plans like work out perfectly.
what do you mean? Of course they all go perfectly as planned. I mean, look at
But
I
I
have a
think
24-year-old. Let me tell you
ex-
how plans are.
right? Exactly. My point. I'm just saying, like, I just see that a lot of times people second guess themselves because their plans don't work out as well as you would hope that they would. And so
Mhm.
you take it upon yourself thinking that it's like a lack of leadership or a lack of foresight or a lack of this, when really it's just like plans just don't work out all the time. You know?
For sure. Yeah, no. So you're saying determination is what gets the job done, right? That's a really
Correct.
great point. Yep. Is that your number one?
In my opinion, I think when people are determined, generally things happen.
Yeah.
I've yet to see, like, even if you look at it, if someone is determined to be a leader, they'll make it happen. They'll figure it out. It's
Yeah.
that lack of determination that generally keeps people from being a leader. I mean, also, I guess you definitely have to have skills. It's not just a one, like, this is the
Right. No,
it. You
no.
know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying if you're determined, you can do anything. But I mean, honestly, like when you look at entrepreneurs, generally the people that are most determined, they will make
Mhm.
it happen.
Would you say that determination and persistence is the same thing? Let me challenge you.
I know. I like this. What is your definition of persistence?
Well, I'd ask the question, what is the definition of persistence for everybody? Is it the same? One of the things that I loved about Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, is that she goes through all these words, all these feeling words and general words, and really goes through and defines them so that we're all on the same page, speaking the same language, when in fact, most of the time we're not. And so I think that persistence and determination being defined and what that looks like, just the same way I think that we need to define what success looks like for us, right? What is success at the end of every task? Are we only looking for this end goal to be able to, like entrepreneurs? Are we only looking to make six figures and then I'm successful, right? Like once I've hit that, then I can say I'm successful. Or what about all those positive impacts that you had on people's lives along the way? Are those not success, right? Or is it quantifiable in only one way or multiple ways? So I think determination and persistence definitely, but I don't know. I like asking a lot of questions, really.
No, I like it. I mean, in my opinion, persistence is a solo journey and determination seems like a group thing, but that's how I've always kind of seen it as. I don't know the exact definitions of really
That's
either.
awesome. No, I'm sure I could look it up real quick. Google is a beautiful thing sometimes. So.
Exactly. Exactly, but I do think that's how I've defined it in my mind.
Yeah.
Determination is like leading a group of people to an end result, right? And persistence is what you do personally. So like in my opinion, like
Mhm.
because you can be persistent yourself, but yet the group doesn't get to where it is. Like, I mean, let's talk about group projects, right?
Yeah. We have a social loafer. We have the person that does everything. We have the person that is like, hey, is everybody organized? And they plan all the meetings. Oh, yeah. No, I know group projects real well.
Exactly. And so, like, there's that one person who's super persistent and just is like, whatever, I'm just going to get it done and do it myself. But the determined group gets everybody to do it. To get, like, the determined leader, I see it as they get everybody to come with them. You know, it's kind of
Awesome.
my whole thing with a rising tide raises all boats.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like that's what a true leader does, is it brings everybody up, not just yourself.
Okay. So I'm doing the Google right now just to see what the difference is, just because
Yeah,
I
let's find it
myself,
out.
persistence. Determination is focus on the purpose. Persistence is the continuation of action around that purpose. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I think it would be a little of what you said. Both are required for success. Determination brings the clarity of, quote unquote, I have decided, while persistence describes the action necessary and then helps you carry it forward. So, awesome. Thank you
I
for
like
that.
it.
Yeah.
What
Um,
about you?
check, check. I think obviously it's going to be somewhat related. I think they all are pretty closely related. But I love and believe that advocating for yourself is 100% of the time going to be the thing that is probably the most important for me. I think that maybe because of my own personal experiences, had I not advocated for myself, I wouldn't be where I'm at, or I wouldn't have achieved the things that I achieved. And though that may not be a big deal for somebody else, that was a really big deal for me. So, advocating for myself, realizing that, sometimes people don't realize how important it is to use that reimbursement program at work to be able to get education if you want to be marketable in your field sometimes, right? That's not the same thing for everybody, but it can be. I know a lot of people that had that opportunity have not taken it and then complain that, they've never had an opportunity to go to school. And I was like, well, I did it. I went to school after work, every single day, got my bachelor's degree, had it 100% paid for. I was really excited to have those opportunities and to actually take them and advocate for myself, because nobody's sitting out there going, hey, you come over here, use my money from my company and go back to school. I believe in you. No, it was me that had to believe in me. I also was lucky. I had a great mentor that believed in me. So I think there was a mention of, you could always do this, but there was never like a real hard push. But I think making sure that you advocate for yourself, whatever your goals are, I think that is such a huge role that we play. I don't know. One of those things.
I agree. I mean, I definitely think advocating for yourself, and also, like, as a leader, to push that onto that, advocating for the people you're leading,
Hmm.
like, I think it's awesome when as a leader that to get to that spot, it is phenomenal to, like, advocate for yourself. But I also think there is some wisdom in, once you become the leader, that you're advocating for those that you're leading, because I
For
definitely
sure.
do think that that's difficult for some people.
Yeah, I know that, like, I say advocate for yourself specifically when it comes to leadership in organizations, mostly because we don't have a lot of organizations out there with succession plans, right? We don't have a lot of organizations set up to allow you to succeed to a promotion. I mean, you can apply, you can interview and hope you do really well. But once that decision's been made, there's no training that you go to. I've seen companies that do it, don't get me wrong. But oftentimes, more often than not, you get promoted, you get thrown into that new role as, say, a supervisor, a manager, or even C-suite. Next thing you know, all these people that you've been friends with, working alongside with, guess what? You no longer get to go out for beers with them all the time anymore. You no longer are their friends, because one day, inevitably, you're going to have to correct them, right? You have to coach them into maybe a better behavior, maybe into an attendance issue or whatever the case may be, you now have power over them. And that power oftentimes isn't just intimidating, but it seems arrogant, right? It seems, just not great. And all of a sudden those friendships are gone. You've ruined them. And it's not you personally ruining them. It's just you have not been set up to succeed because there was no training put forth where you were like, okay, this step next. And this is how I have to deal with these situations. So unfortunately, sometimes our leadership isn't prepared to lead the new leaders into being better leaders. So yeah, advocate, ask for the help, right? Oh,
I love it.
yeah.
I do. I think you're right. I mean, you as a leader, you're practicing advocating for yourself only helps you to advocate for your company when you have to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's definitely a skill set that's definitely needed along the lines of your leadership journey, I guess I could call it.
Yes, we'll call it leadership journey from now on.
Yeah, I like
Succession
it.
journey, leadership journey.
Exactly.
All right. Do you have any other key tips that you have?
I would say adaptability.
Oof. Good
Um,
one.
I think when you have to be adaptable. I mean,
Mhm.
every great company that has, I'll say, failed, it's generally because of a lack of adaptability, you
Ooh, can
know?
we BlackBerry, Blockbuster?
Exactly. I'm like Sears. Like,
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, Fears. Yes.
Kmart. I mean, like the list goes on and on and on, right? Even Target. I mean, we're looking at Target right
Ooh.
now, real time, where
Mhm.
they're really trying to adapt. And, hopefully they'll be successful, but who knows? And I think it's like really important for us to understand on the large scale, adaptability is easy to see, but even on the lower scale, it's also important to learn how to be adaptable, because that also, just like advocating for yourself, it's a skill that actually works really well company wide. And it's a
Mhm.
skill that, like, you can't go from like trying to learn how to walk as a baby, right, to running
Right.
a marathon. Like, it's not
No,
like
that's
you're
not.
crawling and then you're running a marathon.
I currently cannot run a marathon, so trust me, that is definitely.
Right? I mean, it's like, it's so funny because, like, when you think about like being a leader, it reminds me kind of like of all these like normal things we do day to day, like walking. Well, everybody
Mhm.
can walk. Like, nobody can't. I mean, not nobody,
Wow.
but like, right? No, no. I got myself. But once when you learn how to walk and you're walking, like, not everybody can run a mile.
Right.
And even if you can run a mile, not everybody can run a mile under 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
Like hardly, yeah.
it's a very small percentage of people,
Yeah,
right? But like, it's not something that's out of the ability of people, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
sure.
So learning how to be adaptable at the smaller scale helps when it gets larger.
For sure. Yep. And not forgetting that, practice doesn't make perfect. Like the old saying goes, practice just makes permanent. You could practice the wrong thing over and over and over again, and guess what? You're going to be really great at being wrong. You know, really great at it. Um, so I guess my other thing, if I had one, is to have healthy boundaries in the workplace. um, Understand those boundaries, whether that they were the previous friends that you had that you were working alongside with, or if it's with your leadership or your colleagues, whatever the case may be. Healthy boundaries, like, hey, I understand I'm salaried, but at some point I'm not answering my phone in the middle of the night if it's not an emergency, right? Like, or, I keep my phone charging out in my living room. So guess what? I'm not going to be able to get to it unless you ring through twice and then it actually makes a noise. Right. So those types of things, like, here's some really healthy boundaries, and they could and should be respected because I'm a human. I'm still allowed to have a personal life. You're paying me to have, like, to be able to live. You are not paying for my life. Like, understand the difference between the two. You are paying me so that I can live, and have a life. You are not paying for my life, right? As in, you don't get all of it. Sorry. You cannot pay me enough for that. Like, I am still shocked by people that are like, no, but I have to. I have to work. I have to work. I'm in leadership. And it's like, no, you can have healthy boundaries and people can work within those. Like, it's not going to fall apart without you. And if it is, you haven't done your job.
Yeah, that is the key. I
Yeah.
love that. I say that all the time. If the
Mm-hmm.
company falls apart without you, there's a bigger problem here.
Oh my God. You have made yourself perfectly invaluable, but like, if you want an excuse to be a workaholic, just own it, lean into it, and just do it. Don't make yourself like this one and only. Like, eventually, they're gonna figure it out without you. Like,
100%.
oh, so funny. So yeah, those are my key ones, and I can't stress it enough to anybody else out there. If you have any concerns, or if you have, those doubts or those fears about becoming a leader, you're not alone, right? Like, no worries. I used to have to tell myself all the time, calm down. I'm not alone out there. I know it feels like it because, man, no, everybody else I feel like everybody looks like they have it together and they have their stuff together so perfectly that they're like, I'm just amazed all the time. And I feel like I'm falling apart compared to everybody else. I'm like, oh my God, how do you guys do this? So yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. Any last thoughts on that one?
No, I love healthy boundaries. I think healthy boundaries can be practiced at home.
Oof,
Even with your children, with
friends.
friends, with
Yeah.
family, relationships, everything. It's
Hey,
not,
family can have boundaries.
they should have boundaries. It's so important. And I think like practicing there makes it easier everywhere else.
Yeah. I think I did it in reverse, not to say you should, but I think I did it. I practiced at work and then I branched out to my family. But you
Perfect.
guys do you. Figure out what works best for you. Don't forget, so again, we had determination, persistence, advocate for yourself, boundaries, and what was your
Adaptability.
adaptability? That one's my favorite. So I'm gonna win. You win that round. I love it. So now it's a
Good thing.
competition. Yeah,
Yeah, right? Good thing we're not in competition.
I love it. All right. Thanks again for joining us, you guys. Again, you can find us on Spotify if you haven't already, Apple, Prime, and YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn. Let us know what you want to talk about. We'll try to put it out there for you, but we'll get around to everybody's topics at some point. So, thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week. All right.
Thank you.
Every
All
Friday.
right.
Bye.